Have you figured out your niche? Are you helping adding value to other people's lives? Then you're in the right place. Welcome to Munira's Musings with your host, co-author of Conversations with Top Real Estate Investors Volume 3, Munira Zahabi.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, your host for Munira's Musings. Welcome to another episode of Munira's Musings. It's usually not this late in Chicago when I do these lives, but we had some issues come up, and Trish is all the way in Australia. So, we had to work with her because she was going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do this. And I was like, no. We need to have your beauty sleep first.
Yeah, that's right.
Our guest today is all the way again from Australia and in Queensland.
Yes.
In Queensland. So thank you. Welcome to our show. Thank you so much.
Delighted to be here.
Thank you. Love that accent. I just do. Before we dive in, I want to tell you a little bit about what today's show is about and who I am and what Munira's Musing is all about. So today's show is all about introverts, right? And people who are afraid to come out of their shell. Is that right, Trish? So
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is a very good episode for those of you who are watching, because it's going to bring a lot of clarity for those people who think they are introverts. I myself don't know, because there are different segments of time when I become an introvert and then now I become an extrovert. So I'm not sure which one I am. Maybe I'm just a mixture of both. But I am Munira Zahabi. I am in Chicagoland, and I am the niche navigator, as you can see from my compass behind me. I help coaches and business owners find their niche. See, finding a niche is very important, because if you don't know what you're going to do, then you'll be frustrated. You'll waste a lot of time, energy, and money on things that you shouldn't have used, your money on, time and energy on before. And it's just frustrating. So this is the first step when you are getting into your own businesses. You need to know what it is that you want to do, because not what is it who you want to help. That is the next step. But the first step is what it is that you want to do. So that's important. Munira's Musings came about because I found people who are doing profound things, and they were afraid to voice their givings or sharing what they were doing, and they didn't think they were doing enough, or they didn't think they were doing or impacting people. They didn't think they were doing impacting people. And so that was why I really was shocked at those people, because, you need to tell people what you're doing, because there's people out there who need you. So this is why this show came about. And I love the different people that I've met, because there's a niche out there for everybody, and they've found it. We are still looking. So if you're still looking, you know where to find me. But before we waste a lot of time, and we'll get Trish to come back online and say hello. Hello, Trish. Thank you so much for being on my show. I'm a little flustered. I can see that.
No. Hi, I'm delighted to be here. Absolutely.
But tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about me. Okay. Firstly, I am an introvert. Very much introvert, so I know what it's like for all introverts out there. In fact, when I first left my schooling, which is what I call the Jurassic period, that's how long ago it was, I was also very much a shy person. So my formative times was avoiding speaking if I could possibly avoid it, of any sort. Avoiding meetings, didn't really want to get out there and meet people. So I have really successful in business, but I wasn't really going as far as I possibly could until I got a mentor, until I realized that I could speak, until I realized I did have a message. And I call it having 60 seconds of insane courage to be able to get up and speak. So who am I now? from that shy person who couldn't speak, I'm a speaker mentor. I speak on stages nationally and internationally. I absolutely adore working with introverts. I'm Australia's leading expert in empowering introverts, helping them to do what I'm doing, get up there, get known, be seen, and be able to connect with their clients. I'm a multi-international award winner. I'm an international best-selling host for authors and books, and I am just up to recently been a radio host, and I'm now switching across to my web TV channel launching in a couple of weeks. So from someone who didn't like to speak, who didn't like to meet people, I'm certainly out there now. So I know how I can help you.
You are. So something you said, right? I'm going to ask you a lot of niche questions, but I'm going to ask you one more, because here's the thing that we as coaches, we find a lot is that we find a lot of people out there who do not want to invest in themselves. So tell me, you said your exact words were, when I found a mentor. Like, so when is it that you found a mentor? Why did you think you needed a mentor? And, how did that come about?
Okay, that was basically a side benefit. I joined Toastmasters, and I didn't actually join Toastmasters. Of those who might not be aware, Toastmasters is a international organization which started in America and provides a nice, safe environment for people to practice their speaking skills. I actually joined the club here up here in Brisbane because I wanted to meet people. So the concept of speaking was not on my radar. I actually found I loved it. I loved training. I loved speaking, which then led me to find mentors in the speaking area and led me to go outside the Toastmasters arena to expand my skills. And that then led me to opening up my business, and then led me to working and mentoring with introverts. Specifically, I do work also with advocates and authors, but I'm really passionate about introverts because that's who I am. And I know what it's like for them to have to be able to do that. So that's where I went in my process. And I'm always I'm very big on mentors, because I know how much a mentor helped me to realize that I had a message. And I know how much a mentor helped me to understand and believe in myself. My basis with my mentoring is I believe in you until you believe in yourself. Because a lot of the time it's our mindset, it's our lack of confidence, it's our lack of self-belief that stops us from going anywhere. And especially with introverts, it's a lack of, I don't have the energy, I don't have the time, I don't want to get out there and meet people. And I can help them work through the fact that they can still do that. It doesn't change from being an introvert, but they can work on that. And I could do the same. I'm still an introvert. I have not changed. Basically, the introvert is someone who just likes to be by themselves to recharge, and I'm happy with that. But it also means that I know when and how to use my energy effectively to connect with people.
That's profound, right? Because I myself, just talking about me, I don't know about the people that are watching, but if I am out there and I haven't met any of these new people, I will sit quietly and just observe until I'm given a chance to speak or I'm pulled into a conversation. Until then, I just observe. And sometimes I come home just not having said a lot, And so I like that because it gives me a chance to observe. How then, as a Toastmasters, and when you started working on that, and how do introverts balance? I mean, you've balanced it wonderfully, but do everybody just take change the way you do it, or it's gradual, or everybody's different?
Look, everybody is different. Everybody has their own journey. And especially when it comes to speaking, you cannot be exactly like that person. And a lot of people who are new on a speaking journey, which I'm very passionate about speaking because I believe it underpins everything you do. And if you can get those skills, it helps you to step outside your comfort zone and to share. So everybody has a different speaking journey. Everybody is going on a different way. And what happens is you need to find out what your skills are. Every one of us have some really great skills. We could be a really competent person, or we could be that we are very good at organizing our presentations. We might have very great empathy. In fact, introverts make really good speakers, because an introvert knows how much energy they have. If they're going to get up there to speak, or they're going to go into a network meeting, or they want to talk to a client, they really work out what they've got to say. They're very organized. They get in there, they get it, they connect with their client or their audience, or they connect with the networking, and then they go home and they recharge. Now, just to give on the other side, because I actually work with extroverts a little bit too, because an extrovert has the different concept. An extrovert, they love to be around people. They've got to be around people to recharge. They get their energy of communicating with people, of sharing and networking with people. The thing of an extrovert is they're so enthusiastic, so wanting to connect, that they don't know when to stop. So an extrovert has the opposite to an introvert. Introvert's got to get going and starting, and then they know what to do. An extrovert, there's no problem starting, but they need to know when to stop, when to put some balance in, when to let other people have a go and get in there. So those are the two sides of the story. And it's a matter of, you'll be on the spectrum, and it's just a matter of working out where your energy levels are, what you can do, knowing that you can be confident, knowing that you can step up as an introvert, and then you can go back and energize yourself. You don't have to push yourself, and it's knowing who you are. See, some days I've got a lot of energy, so I do a lot of things outside. Other days I know that I don't have a lot of energy. I just want to be by myself and recharge, so I program what I'm going to be doing in those days. So knowing yourself, believing in your message, and being comfortable, and then also having that, what I call 60 seconds of insane courage to step outside your comfort zone and push yourself when you need to.
Well, that I think everybody else needs too, because, when you have a new person, or, you're going to meet a new client, all of that comes in there, and then your 60-second rule comes into play, because you have to look your best, feel your best, and then project your best, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it all comes from believing in yourself. We've got our mindsets and our limiting beliefs, and they all are what control and dictate sometimes on how we're going to react to things and how we're going to progress in our personal growth. And what I've come down to believe is that if you can actually have that self-confidence and belief in yourself, then it gives you a powerful foundation to move forward. Let me give you an example. I had a really good childhood. My parents and my family really helped, were behind me, and they'd say those words: you can do anything you want, be anything you want, you can go out there, and they gave that foundation. But those are only words. They're only words until you actually believe inside that you can do anything you want. And for many years, I didn't do that until I got my confidence from speaking. I got my mentor who showed me that I had that confidence, I had that self-belief, I have a message. And that when you know who you are, when you have that belief, it's extremely empowering.
You bring a good point, because until, like you said, until you believe, when you were talking about the introvert and the extrovert, the one thing that came to mind was the hare and the tortoise, right? Because the hare keeps going and has to then figure out when to stop.
Absolutely.
But the turtle, he just needs a nudge, and then he keeps going, knowing what he's going to do. So that was one analogy. And then the second one was when you talk about, gosh, now I forgot. Believing in yourself, right?
Yeah.
So we went to a wedding a few years ago in India, and the groom sits on a white horse, and the white horse, there was a gutter, but it had some kind of a cover on it. It wouldn't cross if the groom was up there. So the groom had to get down, and then the horse crossed. It was about 7 inches And I mean, it could have just taken one step and it was be done. But the groom had to get down, and then, the horse crossed over, and then the groom had to get up again. It was hilarious, right? The thing is, that horse needed that belief that it could do it. But sometimes you need nudges like the horse. But I mean, irrelevant, but that's what came to mind.
No, that's not irrelevant, actually, because I think that's a very good analogy and a good metaphor for people to realize, because that's what our limiting beliefs and our mindset can do to us. It can stop us from crossing what is just a very minor thing. But if we let that mindset, that limiting belief stop us, we're not going to go any further. And when we want to go further, we're going to have to work on those mindset limiting beliefs and own who we are and realize what's stopping us. Once we get rid of that, we can go forward. So it's a very good metaphor. Yep.
You're right. I didn't put that into perspective. But the thing is that, yeah, you're right, because that limiting belief is not allowing us to take the next step, right?
Yep.
And
absolutely.
So I remember, the owner was a local guy, and he was like almost not whipping, but, kind of nudging with a stick, I would say, but not hitting the horse. But the horse it had the blinders on and everything, but I couldn't understand, everybody was like, it's just 7 inches. Come on, horse, you can do this.
It doesn't matter whether it's 1 inch, a whole mile. If you've got a limiting belief, you're not going to go any further.
Yeah, you're right. Well, that's awesome. So now let me go back to the niches, right? So how did you know? I mean, this is your niche, like helping introverts. And I know you're an introvert yourself, but I think after you went to Toastmasters, you became an extrovert in, a mixture of that. But
yeah, the term's ambivert, but I don't actually like that. I just think I'm an introvert who knows how to step up and share my message because I know how important it is. It's not changing who I am, basically. It's just that I know how to use my energy. I know how to connect with my audience. I know what the value of. It's really a matter of knowing the value of it. If you don't believe in the value of stepping outside of your comfort zone, of expanding from being an introvert, if you don't see why, you're not going to do it. See, it's all up to us. The only person that can change your attitude is you.
Yes.
The only person that can change your confidence and self-belief is you, because you have to own it. And there's got to be a reason for that. My view is that I work with introverts because I know, absolutely here, what the value is of good speaking skills, of what the value is of getting known and being seen. If we're in a business, and it doesn't matter what sort of business you're in, whether it's bricks and mortar, whether it's online, whether you have a product, whether you have a service, whether you're selling a book, it doesn't matter what it is. There is one essential ingredient to all of that. And that essential ingredient is that you need people to sell your service, to sell your product, to sell your book. You need people to come in your doors if you're bricks and mortar. You need people to follow you, to want your services if you're online. That means you need to be able to find people who want you and people who are in your niche. And that's why I say you need to know your niche. You really need to know who it is that you are speaking completely to, for a couple of reasons. And there's about 3 reasons I'm going to talk to you about. One is, if you don't shine a light on who you are and make it easy for people to find you, they're not going to find you. There may be a small percentage that will come across you accidentally. But if you don't put your hand up and say, hey, I have a message, I have a book, I have a product, I have a service, you need it, you've got to shine a light on who you are to do that. Now, that comes from speaking. That comes from stepping up and doing videos. It comes from blogging. It comes from doing articles. It comes from having online. It comes from putting yourself out there. And this is the issue that a lot of introverts have. There are introverts who have brilliant messages, brilliant products, brilliant services, but they're not keen on getting out there and letting people see who they are. And my message to them is, you've got to do that because you are being selfish. If you don't have that courage to step up, if you don't shine that light, then the person that might be in the audience and needs to hear what you're having to say that could change their lives will not hear you, will not see you. Therefore, you're being selfish. And who wants to be selfish? I don't. I realized that. That was one of the things I realized about 15 years ago, was by letting my fear and my mindset and my limiting beliefs stop me, I was being selfish because I was stopping someone from hearing my message, seeing it, reading it, whatever it was that could help them. So I can't afford to be selfish. I can't make that assumption. So that's why I say you should have some good speaking skills. That's why I say you need to step up outside your comfort zone. The other thing about knowing your niche is that when you know truly who your product is going to serve, truly who your service is going to help, then you can speak direct to them in their language. A lot of times new businesses or people starting out say, I can do everything. And I did the same thing. I thought, I'm a speaker mentor. I can help everybody speak. I can do everything.
And anybody, right? That walks by, yeah?
Everybody that wants me. Well, not everybody is going to be is going to connect with the words that I use. Now, if I work my language and I know exactly who I'm speaking to, if I speak to an introvert, I'm talking to them about being an introvert, about their comfort zone, about not knowing what they say, about their energy levels. I'm speaking their language. Therefore, I can connect with them. And the absolutely amazing thing, and I'm not really telling you anything hugely new because a lot of people will tell you this, but I'm coming from my perspective and from how I felt and how I've worked through what I do, is that once you do that, and once you really know who you help, then your message becomes extremely clear. And funnily enough, everybody else wants to work with you as well. I have a lot of extroverts who work with me, but I talk about introverts, I talk about speaking, I talk about getting over your fear of speaking and your mindset. And that actually speaks to a lot of other people. But when I'm using that language, I'm very clear. When you're trying to speak to everybody, you cannot be extremely clear in your message.
Yeah, you are right, because that's what happened to me, right? I wasted a lot of time trying to think I can do all of it. But you can't. You really cannot. You come to realization, it's like I need to slice and dice and take a portion of just what is out there that I can do. Eventually, you may be able to help everybody that comes to you. But when you're starting out, you need that foundation cornerstone, and you need to build on that.
Look, there's nothing that says you can't have several niches.
Yes.
Because a lot of people think, well, you only want me to work with one lot of group. And I say, well, what I want you to do is to identify one specific group of people that you actually speak to, work out the language, work out what you're doing. You can actually have another specific group. You just need to know the language and how to speak with them. And you can switch from one to the other. That's why I can speak to authors, because I am an author. I have authored, co-authored, been a contributing author and facilitated books for 14 books. 3 of those are international best-selling books. So I know what it's like to do all the things wrong with books. So when I'm talking to my niche about authors, I'm talking books, I'm talking authors, I'm talking writing. When I'm talking about introverts, I'm talking introverts, and I'm talking their feelings, their things. So you can have several niches. The concept of a niche, though, is knowing who you're speaking to at any particular time, what language you're using, and being spot on with your examples, with your language, with who you are, and being who you are and real. And that's the other third thing I was going to say. You need to be authentic and genuine. And I know those words get bandied around a lot, but it really is true. I've had my radio show for 2.5 years, and I asked the same questions to every guest, and there was about 76 of them, about what they thought made a great speaker. And I can tell you nearly every single one of them says when they speak from the heart, when they are genuine, when they are authentic. So you need to be who you are. And if you're trying to work with a niche that's not aligned with resonating with who you are, you cannot be who you are, and you won't be as successful.
That's true. You're right. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. No, because, even though you've heard it again and again, you need to hear it one more time before it hits home, right? It's like church.
Yeah, well, everybody says it in a different way. Everybody has different examples, and that's why don't worry about having competition in your niche. Don't worry about it, because there might be loads of people out there doing what you think, doing what I'm doing, and how can I succeed? They're not you. You bring your own unique experiences, your own unique voice to what you're doing, and that makes what you have different to everybody else.
Well, you're right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, you've given me some points to ponder as well, right?
Okay.
So, and I was going to ask you, usually ask people to share some advice, but you just did it.
So that's me preempting.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, people who come and watch these shows, they have to take something away. It is not, I mean, I laugh, I have fun, I enjoy the people that I interview, and I have met so many wonderful people. We're almost nearing 200 interviews.
Awesome.
So I'm very proud of that, and I take this really seriously. But it is what it is. But the thing is, what is your takeaway from what you've just heard? And can you implement into your life? I'm not here to tell you to find a niche because I'm the niche navigator. No, everybody's going to tell you what is it that you want to do. And for a long time, I didn't know what I was going to do until I had to literally dive deep in. And what you said, it comes from you. It's inside you that you figure out, oh, wait a minute, I can do this. And even if it's the size of a pea, go ahead and start, but you have to start, even though you are not good at it. You should hear my first interviews, when there were a lot of and I was coughing a lot. I wasn't just I wanted to finish it in 5 minutes because I was speaking very fast. But the thing is, as I continued and I continue again, it is a growing process, and I continue to become good every time I speak and I do an interview.
Well, one of my mentors said, coined imperfect action. And I love that, because when you try and be perfect in everything, when you're saying, I'm not going to do this till I'm really good at this, or I'm not going to do that until I know everything about it, you're not moving forward. And my concept is that when you don't move forward, you stagnate. And when you stagnate, everything else is just not working. So it doesn't matter how fast you move forward. You need to take action. It could be a small step or it could be a big step. But when you start to do that, the whole concept of moving causes energy to flow, causes energy to rise. And when you've got that, then things start to work for you and things start to come in place. So, yeah, I know. And then I've learned that for myself. I wanted to be perfect at a whole lot of things. And when I first started speaking, gosh almighty, I think the very first time I ever said a word, I think it was about 30 seconds before I could sit down. I didn't want to sit up and speak. Now I've got to be careful about watching my time because I know I'm confident and I know I've got, and I guess one of the other things I might want to share with you, with people watching, is that I like to over deliver. I give a lot of stuff away, and I give what my views are and tips and techniques and strategies. And some people will say you shouldn't do that, but from my point of view is that the more I give away and let people know and share, then they're going to realize that they need some help putting all that into practice. They might want to know a bit more, and they'll come and work with me. So I'm big on sharing, giving, give, and you'll get back.
There you go. See, and that's the message: is give and you'll get back. But the thing is, so what I'm hearing today is, it doesn't matter where you are. If you're introvert, extrovert, whatever you want to do, just go ahead and do. She's not asking you to go speak on a stage, but she's asking you to speak. If you're an introvert, just speak. You can be in a room of 3 people, or you can be at a party. You can just speak. Even if you just say 2-3 sentences, it's okay. It's a start, and you either like it or you don't. So, but you have a choice, and I talk about a lot about choices. Is that there is a choice to do everything in life.
Absolutely.
So you know, I learned this from my professor, but it didn't hit me till I started coaching, was that you have a choice to do anything. And he was like, you have a choice. Do you do this? And we were learning social government at the time, you know, and he would give me all these scenarios and half the things would go off my head because I didn't understand government. I still don't. But
No, I don't either.
he was talking about those things, but he says, but you have a choice, you know. And that thing, I don't remember the lessons very well, but I remember that choice, you know, the fact that you have a choice. So get out there. Just, even though if you're not an introvert, you're just an extrovert, or you're just somebody you don't know where you stand, just go out there and be yourself, be authentic, share what you got to say. You know, I used to be very, very shy. I wasn't allowed to speak a lot, but I used to read a lot. And I used to borrow a friend's Reader's Digest. This was back at home. And you know, the one-liner jokes and stuff that they have on Reader's Digest, I used to remember a lot of them. And so and then there was facts, you know, fun facts or something that they have on Reader's Digest, where they would talk about stuff that just random stuff that lives in my head. So sometimes when a memory is triggered, I come out with this joke and, you know, people are like, oh, how do you know this stuff? It's like, yeah, but you remember this stuff. And, you know, this is how then people gravitate towards you, right? If that's the right word. So they want to know more about who you are and what you know. And so when I go to gatherings now, I've read so many books that I can quote some of them. And so when they'll start a subject and then, okay, can you continue? They'll look at me like, take it away. So then I have the final word when I just bring it home for people, is to explain them how things work in mindset, or, you know, being courageous, or just being who they are, you know. So it starts somewhere.
Well, one of the things you said earlier is really important as well, because you say you go along and you listen. And listening is actually one of the best speaking techniques you can ever develop. And people sort of say, what? You're talking speaking, but you're saying listening is an important aspect, and it is. You don't want to be speaking all the time. You want to be able to listen. And that's what makes introverts awesome, because they are great listeners. And when you listen, then you get to know someone, and you can actually then join in the conversation, and you know what to say or how to say it and what to add value. It's just knowing when to stop listening and start speaking. Or if you're an extrovert, when to stop speaking and start listening. There's just two sides of the coin. So, have that courage. And just remember, you know, it's not about you. There are probably several other people in that room, if you're at a network meeting, who are probably sitting there thinking, I wish someone would come and speak to me. I don't know what to say. So when you think about that, and it's, you know, it's the same when you're speaking, it's not about you, it's about what your audience and what they can take away. It's not about you when you're writing, it's what the people who read what you're writing. It's not about you when you're on video or on speaking, it's about what the people can take away. Then that takes some of that fear and that angst away from what you need to say, because you can just be you and give your message and your passion and let others take from you what they need.
You know, I interviewed a fellow recently, and you know, I didn't know this was his first live, right?
Oh, right. Awesome.
But what he did was he was very rigid. He wasn't, but he had come prepared because he had, you know, things to write with and explain stuff. And so he was very rigid in the sense that, you know, he was only answering questions with a yes and no and a good sentence, you know. And then I said, explain to me how you would do this. And he started drawing. And he forgot that he was on a live interview, and he just came out of his shell, because that's what it is, right?
Yep. Once you know it,
you have a passion of something, and then you bring it out. It's just, oh, wow, you know. And then I told him afterwards, I said, you brought that out like nobody. I mean, it was for me to pull out. Many people just want to talk about themselves, what they do, how they do it. And I said, I was pulling teeth with you in the beginning until I had to take you to a different direction and say, explain to me how you would do this, you know. But it was a touchy subject, and he was like, I'm still learning. And I said, you did very well. So use the same technique, you know.
Yeah.
He was pretty,
Absolutely.
yeah, he was pretty odd too. But I love the fact that you're here. Thank you so much. I'm honored and humbled. For those people who are watching, please like, share, and subscribe. Trish is going to leave her webpage address in the comments below.
Will do.
And you know, the thing is, you may not be the person she could help, but you may be able to connect her with somebody that she can help. So
Absolutely.
whatever your role is in all of this, you know, reach out. That's it. We are coaches. We help people. And we influence. I like to say influence, and I don't like saying coaching, but I like to influence because what the whole purpose is to get you to where you want to go, right? And that's
Absolutely.
what we nudge you and we nudge you.
That's it. That's all it is. It's all about supporting you. That's why I say I believe in you until you believe in yourself. And that's why I'm passionate about mentoring, because I think a good mentor holds up a mirror for you to be able to see yourself and provides a safety net to catch you when you fall, and then gives you the push and the accountability when you're not going where you want to do. And that's what a mentor does. That's my passion.
There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much again, Trish, and everybody else that are watching. Please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And it's over and out from Chicagoland.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye from Queensland. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Munira's Musings with your host, Munira Zahabi. If you enjoyed our show, please share and subscribe to this channel. And for more content, please join our Facebook group called Navigate to Your Niche.